Okay, this is Julie, correct? Julie, darling. Julie, darling. Okay. Hey, Julie, may the 4th be with you. Hopefully you like Star Wars. Anyway, hello, Julie, my love. Welcome to your roast or reading. Is this a roast? Yeah. Is it also a reading? Yes. So I hope this is really helpful. I hope this is entertaining. I love doing these, so thank you so much for booking. And if you are not Julie and you would like one for yourself, you can book it at rxtarot.com. So like I said, this is a personalized astrology roast. I will be picking on you with love as I read you, okay? So we're gonna go ahead and start with your rising sign. So with your rising sign being Aquarius, this is very interesting for quite a few reasons. First and foremost, the rising sign is the point on the horizon, the moment of your birth. So the rest of your chart can really settle in nicely. So being an Aquarius rising is very interesting for a couple of reasons. One, you are very unique. You probably are one of those people who doesn't really fully feel like you fit in to any one specific area, but that kind of means you fit in everywhere. I feel like you're the person, I don't know if you've ever heard of a capybara, but whenever I see an Aquarius rising, that's what I think of. Like, they fit in with any other animal. The capybara can just like be friends with anybody. That's kind of how I see Aquarius risings. As long as you're using it to your benefit, as long as you're really leaning into it and you're not feeling isolated for being different. That's one of the hardest things I think with an Aquarius rising, is not getting sucked into that feeling of being the outsider, being the one that other people aren't really paying attention to. If you don't get sucked into that, this is a really beautiful placement and this is a really cool energy. So with your rising sign being Aquarius, your chart rulers are, where is Saturn? There she go. Saturn and Uranus are your two chart rulers. This is a very interesting mix for you because Saturn in Libra is always asking you to check in with other people and how other people are feeling, which already resonates with the Aquarius energy of wanting to make sure the collective is in on it, making sure that everyone else has a seat at the table too. This is intense because this is pulling you into your 8th house, right? And the 8th house is other people's energy, other people's resources. Sometimes it's other people's money. So you may literally feel like you have to be a caretaker, not the North Node in Cancer. I would not be surprised if you're a caretaker of some sort. I would not be surprised if you either have already become a caretaker or you will become a caretaker in your life. And there's nothing to be afraid of with that, because there is this energy here of feeling supported. Your Saturn is here, which is all of your structure and your finances and your long-term success. Your Pluto is also here though. So this is interesting because there's sort of this energy of, you just have this really intense energy of wanting to make sure others are okay. Pluto is all about transformation, right? Pluto is about the darker undertones of society and taboo topics. It rules the 8th house. So it's almost like, I don't know if somebody passed away or if somebody will pass away and there's sort of this responsibility that gets put on your shoulders, but it's literally like you're built for it. There's this feeling here. This is really interesting to me because sometimes when you look at somebody's chart, you really can see the path opening up very quickly. And I feel like for you, this is exactly the case. Your Aquarius rising is pulling you into this 8th house. 8th house is all about other people's energy, other people's finances, other people's needs sometimes as well, and inheritance. So the work you have to inherit, the the things you have to do in order to receive from others. It's so interesting with your part of fortune and Mars, both in Libra. Your Mars is retrograde, so there's a block on feeling like you really want to do this, but you're meant to. You're good at it. You're good at checking in on others. Okay, I'm getting a little bit tied into a prophecy sort of thing here, so I'm going to back it up just a little bit. With Aquarius in your first house and then this sneaky chunk of Pisces as well, there's this energy of always feeling very connected to others, but distant. Not really feeling like you're in on the mix, but maybe feeling responsible for them. Like I said, Aquarius is partially ruled by Saturn, and there's this responsibility that comes with that energy. It's also partially ruled by Uranus, which is all about switching it up, trying new things, making sudden drastic changes, or just being really good at seeing a future vision that you're excited about. Now, your second house is your self-worth and your value, how you see your self-worth and what value you bring to others. So with your Pisces Venus, I'm a sucker for a Pisces Venus. I'm not fully sure why. I guess it's the Capricorn, but I just love the way Pisces Venus tends to be so unconditionally loving. It's at 29 degrees. The way you love is all encompassing. The way you want to love others is truly unconditional and from a place of wisdom. Now, with Venus in the second, I love this for you because Venus rules the second house. So I love this. I love that you have this energy here pulling you into seeing your self-worth. Pisces can see some illusions at times, which could be for better or worse, depending on which way you want to go versus what you're looking at. But sometimes you may not be able to see your value. Maybe you won't be able to fully see the work that you do as valuable. And it's likely a lot of emotional labor. I think something that you're really good at is holding space for others. I can't believe your chart right now because your Venus is opposing your moon. And your moon is all about your inner world, your emotions. And I feel like for you, it may be really hard for you to connect into your emotions. It may be really hard for you to believe that it's safe for you to share your experience. It may be really hard for you to believe that your emotions even really matter at times. Having a Virgo moon is tricky. It's really tricky because there's this desire to not necessarily feel your own feelings, but instead work on helping somebody else so you can heal yourself sort of vicariously through them. Because when you sit with your own emotions, there's this messiness that can come up, and Virgo does not like a mess. Virgo loves to find the organization. Emotions are messy. So learning to sit with them, learning to let yourself be a little bit of a mess, no longer holding that all in is going to be really important. I'll get into that a little bit more here right now because you also have your Sun and Chiron in the same sign in your third house. Your chart is fascinating to me, my love. Your Sun is what gives you life. Your Sun is what brings you vitality. It's what makes you feel the most alive. It's not really who you are. It can represent your ego and it can represent your life path in the sense of like your life story. There is some real correlation there. But the way I like to look at it for how you use your Sun sign is it's the thing that gives you life. What gives you life is that Taurus energy, that Venus energy, that sense of connection and love and stability. And then you have Chiron and Taurus sitting right next to it, which is so intense and so unfair in so many ways. because you want to have stability, you want to have protection, but your actual key to moving towards that and seeing it in a new way is letting go of your fear of not having the stability that you're hoping for. Chiron in Taurus is the wound of loss. Chiron in Taurus is the wound of losing the material things that you hope are going to make you feel safe. This is why this is a really tricky knot for you, because this is also your third house. This is what you're constantly thinking about on your conscious part of your mind, where you're thinking and speaking and the way you see the world. It's also the way you express yourself. So there could be some fears around expressing yourself. There could be some questions of like, how do you really even express what you're going through, which ties back into your moon and kind of wanting to hide away from it. Working with a Virgo moon is going to be about doing something physically with your hands, getting your hands in the clay, becoming a gardener, cleaning your house. I know it sounds silly, but it's something that you can actually do to alchemize the energy. I think one of the hardest things is just sitting with your emotions, because you start to ruminate and you start to try and logically solve them. So you really have to feel them as you're doing something else. Stepping into your fourth house here, this is your family life, okay? This is your roots. This is your heritage. You have Mercury and Gemini here. I love this for so many reasons. I wonder if your family has been, I don't know if your family is really funny. I don't know if they're just highly intelligent. I feel like you've learned a lot from your family and from, I want to say your ancestors, but I just mean like your mother, your father, your grandparents, your aunts and uncles, like your elders. I feel like you learn a lot from connecting to your roots. You express yourself through what you already know, through what makes you feel good and what makes you feel safe. So I love that for you when you really do open up. I don't know if you're the one that communicates for your family. This could be a shot in the dark, but you could be the one who, translates for people who can't understand a different language. You could just be the one that speaks your mind, and that can be for better or worse, depending on how your family is. You could trigger them into figuring out new things and learning new things. Or you could just be the best communicator, and help everyone sort of come together with all of this Libra. I really do think that's a huge part of it, is being the mediator to everybody in the whole family. Your North Node in Cancer in the 6th house just continues down this path of wanting to nurture and care for everybody and anyone and everyone around you. And you may neglect yourself, okay? Having a Cancer North Node is one of those really interesting placements where every single person I have ever done a reading for that has this placement, and they are a mother, they're so worried that they're not a good enough mother. They're so worried that they're not doing enough for their children. They're so worried about being enough that they forget to look at what they've already done. And with this in your 6th house, you are meant to be a caretaker on a day-to-day basis. You are naturally good at that, whether you're a nurse or you're a doctor, or you're even just somebody who has had to help other people who are either in your family or whatever it is. You have this caretaking ability that other people just won't understand. And it's everywhere in your chart. The North Node in Cancer, the Moon in Virgo, Mars in Libra, the Venus in Pisces, and even your Aquarius rising. You can be aloof, you can be distant, but Aquarius always has this deeper connection to really wanting things to be better for everybody. Aquarius energy can get a little bit bitter and a little irritated when things don't work out the way they really wanted to. But once Aquarius really learns to let that go and not be so controlling, they start to actually see the magic behind what they want to do and how they can make it happen. So let's come back over here. Sun and Taurus in the 3rd, you are definitely somebody who feels fulfilled by feeling safe, feeling nurtured, feeling grounded. Your moon in Virgo tells me that you are constantly trying to help anyone and everyone around you, and it may cause you to not feel that connected to yourself at times. Make sure you don't go down the path of being a martyr. Make sure you're not going down that path of always sacrificing yourself for others. That's not going to help them in the long run. That's not actually going to be good for them either, because then you don't have any energy. You're not feeling well. You start getting chronic pain and chronic illness and you can't overcome it. It's like this whole thing. So what if you realized how important it is to fill your own cup first? Your Mercury in Gemini, I love so much, and I feel like when it's used for knowledge and allowing yourself to really lean into enjoying what you're learning and sharing what you know and being a great communicator. You may be somebody who can speak multiple languages very easily. You may be somebody who can pick up on mannerisms that people are like doing. Even if it's not a real language, it's almost like you can understand where they're coming from. Your Pisces Venus does help you become more of who you're really meant to be, that lover, that nurturer, that selfless person. And yes, that is all beautiful, but like I said, don't get caught in the loop of sacrificing yourself for others. Your Pisces Venus, especially when it comes to relationships, pay attention to like the rose-colored glasses. Sometimes they're not as perfect as they may seem to you. When it comes to finance, open up your heart in a way to accept that maybe the emotional labor you do is enough. Maybe that is real work, and maybe that's something that people really need right now. Your Mars is in Libra, and it's retrograde, like I said. Retrograde Mars, mine is retrograde in my natal chart. It is very challenging because you're not necessarily going to feel a constant push and a constant motivation. And like I said, Uranus is one of your partial chart rulers, so that Uranus in Sagittarius is begging you to trust the journey a little bit more. I think there have been, or there will be, things in your life that feel very challenging. Those are only meant to make you open yourself up a little bit more. Having your Pluto with all of these other planets and all of these other placements, it's just such a sign of trusting when things fall apart, they're leading you towards something more. I do think you're meant to have challenges in your life that open you up and really make you let go of materialism, let go of the feeling that you have to have like a certain number in your bank account before you're worthy, leaning more into your nurturing side, leaning more into what skills you do really have, which is helping people feel safe in times where it may not feel that safe. That is actually your genius. Your Sagittarius Uranus in the 10th is asking you to trust that sometimes the most crazy shifts and changes can lead you to an experience that opens you up and brings you new opportunities you did not see on the horizon. You did not see them whatsoever. Thank you so much, Julie. I hope you enjoyed this roast or reading. Please let me know if there's anything else I can help you figure out with your chart. And if you are not Julie, but you enjoyed this, you can always book yours at rxtarot.com. Thank you. Bye.